Hey friends, it's Jason. I don't normally make these spontaneous Substack lives, but I thought I would do one about walking my dog in the park. It's a beautiful morning, and I've just been reflecting on the last almost 3.5 years since my daughter's death, and I've really noticed something significant shift for me in the last, I don't know, maybe month or 6 weeks, and that's that I feel happy. Like, and it's not that I haven't had moments of happiness or happy, like, moments of laughter or joy. Of course, I've had those things for the past 3.5 years, but, I think what I feel is genuine happiness and a lightness, that I haven't felt since February 1st, 2023. It is really, really nice, and it's just taken an incredible amount of work. And I want to preface this by saying I'll be a grieving father for the rest of my life. I'm sure about that. And I know I'll have many more painful moments, you know, in the future. And so that's just the reality of grief. And I'm prepared for it. And I will face that. I've faced all the rest, I suppose. But yeah, I think the happiness I feel is more like the lightness and happiness I felt before Chloe died. And like I was saying, it has taken an incredible amount of work to to get here. Like I'm talking, obviously like tons of therapy that I will continue, and talking to people, talking to my wife, and writing about the process, and talking to and supporting tons of other grieving people and parents, and psychedelics, and you know God, relapsing into addiction, like, and overcoming that and all of it. Like it's been a wild ride so far. What I found is that the harder the work has gotten, the more determined I have become. So there have been so many moments where I just wanted to get in. I don't even really know what that means, but just give up. You know, um, I guess I never really took those moments all that seriously in the sense that I felt super frustrated and tired and just done with all of it. But at the same time, I've always remained optimistic, that healing is possible, and that the hard work will yield, um, you know, peace and joy, and all of that. And uh, but yeah, I mean, it's been such an interesting experience in the sense that I have had to, like, so I tend not to do anything in moderation at all. So, I can kind of be like a personal development junkie. I've read at least 10% of probably every book that's ever been written. And, I'm a pretty introspective person, I think, and do a lot of maybe too much navel gazing. And yet still I've been carrying around just these hidden burdens that took me years to uncover, like guilt, like a tremendous amount of unresolved guilt over my first wife's death and my daughter's death. My wife died 16 years ago. I mean, and just fairly recently, in the last few months, I've through somatic experiencing realized, I've been carrying that guilt and faced it, and man, it was like, I kind of think of it like I've been able to touch the guilt, and it's almost like touching a live electrical wire in some sense. Like it's like a total body experience. But I survived, and things have been easier since then. It's the same thing. I've had this very intense fear of helplessness over the years, because I spent a lot of my adult life feeling helpless, so like I was helpless for the 5 years leading up to my wife's death to save her. I developed a really significant drinking problem, and I was helpless. I felt helpless to stop the million times I tried to quit. I felt helpless to take away my kids' pain, after their mom's suicide and all of those things. And so, a big part of my, uh, the way I operate is like this fear of ever being helpless again. And so, like, I really faced that too, and uh, come to I think a pretty reasonable sense of peace about it. And yeah, and I guess what I'm really the reason I want to say all this is that I know how freaking hard it can be when you have lost someone that you love dearly. And, how impossible it can feel, and how easy it is to convince ourselves that we're permanently broken. That maybe some a lot of times what happened maybe was our fault. We beat ourselves up. We're racked with guilt. We just don't see a future beyond the pain. And I think actually something that happens a lot too is that we start to associate the pain we feel with our love for that person. And I think part of healing is, finding ways to connect with and feel connected to the person that you lost, outside of just pain, and part of that is finding ways to make, create a sense of purpose, to do things that honor their memories and all of that. So I guess that was a long monologue of me saying, as hope you believe that healing is possible, and that, even though we'll never be the way we were before the loss, we, we'll be different. But we can grow through it, and we can live and rebuild and live uh, beautiful, meaningful lives for ourselves, and for the people who didn't die, fundamentally. So, yeah, anyways, I wanted to share that with you. It's just a nice feeling, and if you've lost someone you love deeply, I wish you peace and healing, and I wish that for you too. And I also understand how hard it is, and I understand if you feel hopeless, and I understand if you. By the way, I'm seeing some comments. What I'm saying is I'm doing well. Okay. I don't know if this is coming across like me saying this is some kind of pity party. This is not what this is at all. It's actually quite the opposite. But I appreciate the kind words and gestures. So, anyways, if you've lost somebody you love dearly, I wish you peace and healing. And I'll keep writing about grief for men and the people who love them, to share what I'm learning, and hopefully maybe it helps you. So if you're finding this interesting or useful, uh, subscribe to my Substack, and yeah, I'll continue doing my best to write things and are useful, and maybe help you just a little bit on your path to healing. All right, take care.